Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast making ancient wisdom relevant today. I'm your host, Raghunath, with co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. This is episode 1375, sitting here live with Miss Mara spinning the dials, and it's Walk on Wednesday. Walk on Wednesday is, it's Thursday. It's Walk on Thursday. Usually do it on Wednesday. Today's Thursday, just to keep everybody's brains recalibrated. Today's a day where we ask somebody that we think is doing something cool to come on the show. We pick their brain for 5 or 10 minutes, introduce them to our community. And we got someone special today. But before we get to our guest, Miss Mara, do you have any announcements?
Yep, we have Back to Your Cover Group meetings at noon and 1:30 Eastern Time. We have Cult of Cain's Asana class with Josh Kane tomorrow. It's Feel Good Friday at 10:30 a.m. And join Wisdom of the Sages for our spiritual pilgrimage to Sacred India, October 17th through 31st. We're going to Jagannath Puri, Udaipur, Nathwar, Rishikesh, Haridwar, and Govardhan Vrindavan.
All my favorite places.
Yeah. You can sign up at raghunath.yoga or wisdomofthesages.com.
Want to do a Bhakti Yoga, and Yoga retreat? We're having it here September 20th through the 22nd. Me and Nikki Haas, great yoga teacher. Here at Super Soul Farm. If you're interested, go to my website, raghunath.yoga/events to register. Kaustubha.
Yes?
Why don't you tell us something about our special guest today?
We have a special guest today. It's a person I admire.
Mm-hmm.
Yugal Kishore Das. Yugal Kishore, he's a brahmachari. I've known for, nearly 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
When you see him, he seems quiet and unassuming, very peaceful. But this is a person that gets things done.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll tell you something. You know, like he just walks around in his quiet way. He has a beautiful, enthusiastic way of dancing that is widely appreciated. But other than that, you would just think he's a quiet monk. But he's got hundreds. He's got like an army behind him. He's like he knows how to inspire people and get things done. This man, like, he helped the Bhakti Center so much, even though he was like so far away, you know, just like helping support the place in so many ways. Yugal Kishore Prabhu, let's bring him on. He's a brahmachari. He's a monk, a disciple of Radhanath Swami. How are you doing today, Yugal Kishore Prabhu?
I'm doing well. Oh, how are you doing?
I'm happy to have you here, Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you know, why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you know, of course, you were born in India and grew up in India. But how did you come to become a monk, and were you into Krishna Bhakti as you were growing up in your family? Where were you from in India?
I'm basically from South India.
What part?
A place called Visakhapatnam, very close to
Visakhapatnam.
Simhachalam. Yeah.
Okay, on the East Coast.
East Coast, exactly. 20 minutes from this holy place, Simhachalam, where Singhadev appeared. So
did you used to go to Simhachalam as a child and visit?
A lot.
Okay,
Really?
now it's all coming together.
Yeah.
Now it's all coming together.
Maybe every month, once a month.
Is it in Simhachalam where they have the cave and you go into the water?
Why is it that we're so fascinated by that cave?
I want to go there.
Cave temple where you have
know
to
that cave temple?
wade in up to your hips.
No, this is not cave temple. Cave temple is
Where is that?
That is different, actually.
Okay.
But this is up the hill, on the top of the hill.
Okay.
And actually, it is a self-manifested deity, and probably thousands of years old deity, actually.
Yeah, nobody knows how far these temples go back.
True. Actually, no, it was mentioned in this book, Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Prabhupada.
Mm-hmm.
Very ancient deity, self-manifested deity, maybe even few millenniums ago, actually.
Wow.
So good.
So was your family, were they serious bhakti practitioners, or did they just kind of go to the temple because it was the religious thing to do?
My mother is a very serious bhakti practitioner.
Okay. She used to bring you there.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Good mother.
But then you went to school and you went to college. And what did you study?
I did my master's in mathematics.
Okay.
Then I also studied software programming.
Okay.
I mean, I also had a law degree actually.
A law degree too.
You see, I'm telling
Oh,
you,
he's
these
one of
people.
these overly qualified people that I can't relate to. Prabhu, you were just a simple brahmachari. You're a lawyer.
See,
You
I was a bike messenger.
I was
Ruggle
a
screamed in a
waiter
punk rock band.
part-time, and then I sang for a punk band.
Okay. All right.
God,
So,
we can't do this anymore. The whole day I'm gonna hate myself now.
maybe next life, Raghunath. Maybe next life for us.
What have I done with my life?
Okay. So then you went on to a career, or you began a career in Singapore. Is that right?
Yeah, I got a job one day in Singapore, and then I went to Singapore in 1996 and started working there. And one day in my office, I used to work with the Development Bank of Singapore as software consultant.
Okay.
So I asked, where did you go yesterday, the weekend? He said, Hare Krishna Mission. I said, what is that? They give nice food.
Okay. So this is a coworker telling you this?
Yeah, my colleague.
The coworker was Indian, or was
Yeah.
he?
He was an Indian. He said,
was Indian.
yeah, he said, I went there, they gave a nice food. And if you want, you can try. I said, why not?
Why not?
That's how I started. And little did I know, it'll change my life.
They
But
get you with the food, don't they, Kostuba?
They
Hare
do, they
Krishnas get you with that food.
Even
because
these
you
people
want-
that grew up in Vishakhapatnam and going to the Nrsimhadev
They're still
temple,
getting them with the food.
Still the food. So was that like that introduction to Srila Prabhupada's books and his presentation of bhakti, was it just like was it all totally familiar, or was it like I've never understood it like this before?
no, I'm a little bit familiar, but never understood like this before. That's my
Okay.
point, actually.
Yeah. Okay. The urgency of it, the clarity of it.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I
Then-
understood goal of life is a self-realization, irrespective of, who you are, where you are from. Goal of life is to cleanse the heart, get rid of impurities. When I understood that, I became very serious. Working though, I was still
Still
working.
working in the world. Okay.
Yeah. Then I got a job. Here, 3.5, 4 years later, I got a job in Singapore, in America, MetLife.
MetLife.
Yeah.
You work for okay, so no, so here's I'm trying to figure this out though, Prabhu.
Mm.
So you have a religious mother, but you went to university. You did all the things like a mother
Good
wants their kid
Indian
to do.
son,
Okay,
yeah.
they went away. They got the job in Singapore. They got the job in New York. Now you become a monk. Does your mother lose her mind at this point, or is she supporting you, rallying behind you?
No, initially she resisted. Strongly she resisted.
Strongly,
Okay.
she resisted.
Yeah.
She's waiting for the grandchildren.
She's waiting for the grandchildren.
Yeah.
Some with
If you probably, if you really ask me, what made me become a monk, giving up my very lucrative job in MetLife, New York City.
Yeah.
So I can even tell you 1 minute if you have time.
Okay.
We can skip it.
I'm sorry, say that again.
No, you want me to tell you what made me become a monk, giving up my
Why
software
not?
career?
Let's
why
hear.
not? We didn't give up any. See, Kostuba and me, we were brahmacharis, but we didn't give up anything. We had nothing to give up. You actually gave up a position that you worked hard for maybe a decade. Education, the resources, probably you studied to get into those schools your entire childhood, and then you walked away from it. What was the story?
Thank you. 2001 March, one day I opened a New York Times newspaper, and
Yeah.
I read this article. Ronald Reagan fell in the bathroom and broke his hip.
Oh. Okay.
And
Interesting.
Nancy Reagan was requesting all the Americans to please pray for my husband. The former first lady was requesting. So there's the first time I thought for myself, if I go to the hospital and tell him, sir, you're a Hollywood star for decades, means what? You have so much money, name and fame, and a sense enjoyment.
Sure.
And one thing was missing for you, the power, Then you got that later also. 2 times California governor, 2 times American president, the most powerful person on the planet.
Okay.
Powerful karma, huh?
Powerful karma. Think of those good olden days, and today you're going through this suffering. You forget about it. So if I tell him, if I go to hospital and tell him, what will he say? Something came in my mind. He would say, how much I enjoyed previous years, it will not compensate today's suffering. This
Okay.
one line came in my mind.
Mm.
So yes, he was born in early 19th century, 1912. So body is a machine. It has 206 bones, blood, flesh, and marrow. So, but you're not the body. That's the first lesson of Gita. I came to America, so to make money, 30, 40 years later, whatever he is going through today now, I'll go through that time, how much ever money I have in the bank, the name and the position, all the sense enjoyment for the years, it will not compensate that suffering. My cell
So
phone, 6 years. My computer, 10 years. Likewise, body, it lasts only maximum 100 years. Then old
Maximum.
age, when the body starts going through suffering, you cannot tell you, I enjoyed previous years, previous decades, and let me suffer now. No. But I already read Gita by the time I came to America. That told me, hey, you're not the body, you're a spirit soul. So I told myself, why don't I do research? Why don't I dedicate my life to do the research and prove the world I'm not the body but spirit soul? Everyone around me, they're identifying with the designations. I'm a man, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, I'm a professor, but they're not happy either. And with all the money I have, I'm not happy. Something is missing in my life.
yeah.
I said, why not I use my life? Why not I dedicate my life to propagate this truth and find some happiness and solace and peace there? So probably a year later, I met my guru and I became a monk. Never look back.
Look at that,
Just
Raghunath.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, all of that like austerity that he put in study and gaining all those degrees and all of that, there's power that comes in that.
Mm.
It's just all become invested in his service as a monk. He's like a guru. He's got like hundreds and hundreds of people that are just like, he, like I say, looks very quiet and unassuming, but you can just hear from his words that he was speaking right now. He's got realization. He knows how to present it, and it really touches people. I want to move on because Prabhu, you put together a series of books. I got it right here, right? The
yes.
art and science of self-mastery, a monk's wisdom for personal fulfillment and professional achievement. Raghunath, this is what we need. We need to read this, okay?
I need some
It's not too
professional
late.
achievements.
It's not too
I need
late.
some.
But
I'm
this
impressed by your material side. Not to what to speak of your spiritual side. Your material side is quite impressive.
It is. So this is a series of 3 books. They come together in one package.
Okay.
One has to do with stress management. One has to do with anger management,
Okay, I need that one.
and the other is time management, Raghunath.
I need that one too.
I think, but maybe
I think
the
I might
stress
need
management.
all 3 of
Yeah,
them.
I think you need
Actually,
all
I'm not going to
3.
skip either one of them.
Okay. So Yoga Kishore Prabhu, can you tell us a bit about this series of books?
Yeah. Actually, the first lesson of Gita, as I said before, you're not the body but a spirit soul. When you're absorbed in bodily consciousness, attachment causes stress. I've seen monks handling projects, literally tens and twenties and thirties and hundreds of projects. I have not seen them stressed out.
Mm.
So I want to create, and I want to make everyone know, what causes stress? Expectation and reality. You have an expectation, but the reality is different. The distance, if there is a vast distance between your expectation and your reality
Mm.
creates stress. For example, I want to live with this girl. I want to live with I want to live with my girlfriend.
Mhm.
But the reality, she doesn't want. Then
There.
to the extent
there.
you're attached to the aspect of living with her or him, that creates stress.
This is actually everything that you've said since you started speaking totally connects with what we're going to read in Bhagavatam today. We're at the point where the Prahlad Maharaj meets the Python man, who's lying down. It's straight out like this. Okay, so stress. You get right to the heart of the matter.
Yes. When you're unable to handle the stress, attachment leads to anger, you know. So there are
Oh,
so
okay.
many series of verses in Gita, you know.
Right.
So you're very attached to achieving something, but the reality is different. So when you're stressed out, it leads to anger. And when you're stressed out with the stress and leading to anger, you do not know how to handle the time.
Okay, it's all connected. We're gonna.
These three are connected, and you need to have a master's degree in PhD, or you should be a doctor to write these books. But probably, past 22 years, I've been traveling, cultivating all these software professionals, doctors. Actually, at least 5 to 6 doctors helped me in this book, actually.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I want to tell people, I know, though actually everyone is telling anger is a normal emotion. Anger is not a normal emotion, whether it is controlled or uncontrolled. It has repercussions. So I want to
A lot
clarify
of destruction from it. A lot of,
exactly.
yeah.
Some myths are there in scientific world about anger or stress.
Hmm.
And honestly speaking, without even taking medicine, if you realize these problems at a very early stage, by reading these books, you can address all the three things. Three
Mm.
problems.
They're clear. They're simple. They're not like it's deep, but like presented in a simple way. A little bit like a workbook too. Like there's at the end of chapters, it gives you a little place to reflect and write some things down
I
and see
like
how
that.
this. Yeah, it's
like-
practical like that. Yugal Kishore, where can people find your book? Is it on your website they can go to?
Yugalkishore.com. Just
Yugalkishore.com.
like you
Okay.
want to
Yugal.
type it.
Yugal.
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 Yes.
Kishore.
Kishore.
KISHORE.com.
Yes.
Fantastic. That's
Okay.
perfect.
We'll put the link in the description of the podcast. Now, the latest thing in your life is you're so qualified and expert in so many ways. They've made you like kind of the assistant GBC secretary, something like that for the New York area, right? Or
New
the
York State.
Northeast, New York State.
New York
New York
State
State.
and Michigan State.
So we need to work together now.
Yeah. That means you're my boss. New York.
Yeah.
I'm an independent free radical.
I'm trying to be everyone's servant.
Okay.
That's a real designation, and that makes you happy, actually.
You, sure. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really recommend everyone check it out. The Art and Science of Self-Mastery Amongst Wisdom for Personal Fulfillment and Professional Achievement.
Thanks for joining us, Prabhu. Appreciate all that you do, all your service and your heart. People speak highly about you because of your heart more than your knowledge. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much. Very grateful
It's true.
for the opportunity, and very grateful to be with you all today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Thank you, Ronald Reagan.
Okay. Thank you,
Ronald
Reagan.
Reagan again. Can you imagine the type of sense gratification Ronald Reagan had in this lifetime?
Well,
It doesn't get
he was a Hollywood guy, you know.
celebrity. Like
Yeah.
we can't even imagine the type of sense gratification or opportunities for sense gratification, indulgence in the senses just from that position. Then all of a sudden you become the leader of the free world, get elected
First
twice.
he was the governor for a while.
He was the governor as well. Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Then president.
All I could think of is like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's the only other person I could think who's sort of been up there. With that type of like material fame, notoriety, and he's different because he's got the body that goes with it. And there's a whole type of other sense gratification when everyone's checking out your body. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It is. That's what sense gratification is based on, your ego, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can enjoy
Well,
this.
I think Ronald Reagan
People-
was considered a very handsome man in his acting days.
Well, so was Arnold.
I know, so they're both in the same category.
Yeah, I'm saying that besides Ronald Reagan, I can only think of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's been up there.
That's the
with
only
that type of-
handsome men that you know of?
Well, with that type of power, he was the governor of California. He was like they did a Pumping Iron movie about him.
What about Kennedy?
Kennedy was up there too.
Okay.
You know what? He wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't a celebrity
I see.
in his
At
youth.
first.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
Some
right.
people have money, but they don't have fame. Ever meet people who are like that?
Money but no fame. Yes.
Man, money but no fame. There's a different type. Fame is a different type of money, different type of pleasure. I've seen it. I've seen that happen. Like they want to be in a rock band, but they're rich, but they can't. They don't have that fame.
Right. All right.
Yeah. And then there's people who are like sort of famous, but they
got no money because they don't know how to spend it. They need money management. That's got to be the
money
next
management, but you look ashore.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So everything he was taught, what we're going to read today, what I appreciated, he was in a position where he's making good money. You make that kind of money, you can go back to India and like live like a king.
You make that type of money, you go back to India, you could live like an emperor.
Yeah.
You could live like a Maharaj.
But rather than that warping his perception,
right,
which is what's going to happen to most people on one degree or another. Rather, even though he was situated in that circumstance, he was observing the nature of material enjoyment. Look at Ronald Reagan.
That's what it was. It was just his observing. It
call
wasn't
this
like
dristva.
he fell in the bathtub and got hurt. It was he was noticing other people. If we can learn from other people's pitfalls,
Yeah.
that's where we become very, very powerful.
This idea of observing the nature of material enjoyment, because usually we just get caught up in it. We need to take a step back.
Mm.
We need to observe it, and observe it like how the whole thing plays out. And if you observe it carefully, you'll see that it's a false promise.
This is why
It doesn't
Radha Swami's instructions to me was very powerful. He would say, Raghunath, this is what I want you to do this year. I want you to walk in the forest.
Slow down a little.
And think about life.
Okay. You're like, whoa. Raghunath's wandering around.
It's important.
Get attacked by animals.
Just reflect about material existence. It's important to journal about materials, notice material existence, see where you're going, see where your desires, see how they match up.
How it all lines up.
How it lines up. Reflect, zoom out of your life. See where you went. Just like we were talking before the show. We were talking, you and me are friends in 2001. We were friends back then.
We're friends.
That was like a whole chapter of my life gone. We're still friends. And it was only
where you were then has disappeared.
It's completely disappeared.
Yeah.
I was married, raised five kids. But if you were to take that away, that was before all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were still friends. And time just marches on.
You've gone through a whole rigmarole.
I've gone through a whole ringer.
Yeah. We all have these little fantasies about what our life will be and how it'll work out and so on. And
punctured by material nature.
Kind of, in one sense, we all go through almost the same thing in certain ways, even if it appears very different.
Yeah, we're sort of very similar, as different as we are, isn't it?
Like I'm not going to go into too much detail.
Please do.
But there's certain things that like humans go through. Like you talk about a lot about like what it's like to be a parent, and that you just can't make your children do what you feel is best for them because they have their own independence, and there's and even
karma.
And then, even where you are maybe misunderstood. And I don't have any children, but in certain relationships, I felt the same thing,
Yeah.
Like I'm here to help. Just accept it. People don't want to accept it. And then you feel that, like, I know what's good for you. Just hear me out. And it's like, I don't want to hear from you.
I feel it some way with you. I want to help you, but
I know.
You don't want to.
I should listen to you more, Raghunath. I should.
I just surrender. Surrender
to you. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
No, the parampara,
Okay.
the Krishna conscious parampara that I represent. Surrender to that.
You're older than me.
I know. Therefore, surrender. Sharanagati. I can
It's only
help.
3 weeks, though.
3 weeks is a long time.
Okay.
The big
I gained a
picture of
lot of
things.
wisdom in those 3 weeks.
I gained a lot of wisdom in those 3 weeks.
Okay.
Oh, Krishna.
All right, we ready to dive in? Everything that he said is going to line up exactly with what the Python man said.
I love when these Krishna miracles happen.
It's a miracle. Yeah.
Narayanam namaskrityanam chaivanarottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam dirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. to Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtaki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanatimarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuranmudatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Reading from
Canto 7, Chapter 13, Text 26.
You know what I like?
Born
about
in
this,
the
Raghunath?
darkness of ignorance, Kastuba. Isn't that a great phrase?
It's truth.
It's truth. We are born in the
Satyam.
darkness of ignorance, lost, bumping into walls, falling into pits, making the same mistakes again and again, and don't know what to eat, don't know how to behave, don't know what to think about, letting our senses lead us. Pathetic beings. I have no Hindu mother dragging me to
Shringadeva
to see
temple.
Lord Nishringadeva once a month. Just walking around, riding my bicycle around like a kid, getting into trouble, cultivating lust and greed from childhood.
Playing your sousaphone, hoping it would lead to some kind of material enjoyment.
Playing my sousaphone.
That was not a good strategy. It didn't lead to
trying to impress people with my sousaphone. God.
Now, Raghunath.
Didn't work.
We're hearing today from, again, Prahlad, who was king at the time. Right? Prahlad's a grown man, I'm pretty sure, by this point.
Yeah. It's hard to think of him as a grown man.
But he became
I always try to think of this child Prahlad, but
Yeah.
he's a grown man at this point.
And he's on this mission. I'm going to walk around. He's got a lot of responsibility, but he's like, I need to set aside some time to just go on a mission to travel around and try to seek out people that have deep wisdom for me. And he finds this man line. This is like a Monty Python movie or something like that. Like
you said it's Monty Python.
Yeah, it's like, he's
Monty Python man.
Oh, I didn't even put that together. Monty Python.
Clever man. Clever.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, go ahead.
But it's like a Monty Python film in the sense that like he's like lying on the ground, like not even moving, but but they're going up and interviewing him and like, what do you got to say? And the first thing he does is, he looks dirty. He seems lazy maybe, or maybe he's a little crazy. But first thing he does is he begins, and he says, pretty much everybody's walking by me. They don't get where I'm at internally, but you picked right up, and you know what? Why you picked up on it? Because you're engaged in Kevala Bhakti, unadulterated, pure Bhakti. Krishna's in your heart. He's become the primary feature in your heart. And he's instructing you, hey, there's a guy over there. Talk to him. And
the pure devotee can look into a person's eyes and see exactly where they're at.
Right in there. Yeah.
They get it.
So he spends a few verses just glorifying as a respectful, refined person. He doesn't look like a refined person. He looks like a crazy, lazy person. But no, he begins to glorify Prahlad first thing, right? This is like a person that's got refined sensibilities and behavior does. He spends a little time glorifying him. Now he begins to drop the knowledge, Raghunath, right now. And he begins by saying, because it's kind of like, what are you doing lying here on the ground? First couple verses have to do with this. I observed this world, looked into it, and then I withdrew. Kind of same thing Yugal Kishore Prabhu did, but in a different way. Where I observed, sussed it out.
Doesn't look like a promising return on investment.
Then I
material
withdrew.
world.
Then I withdrew.
The ROI.
Right, return on investment. Nice, Raghunath. Money management.
Like money management.
Okay. All right. Text 26.
In this human form of life, men and women unite for sensual pleasure of sex.
Okay.
But by actual experience, we have observed that none of them are really happy.
That's a little cold, but he's cutting right to it.
Oh.
It's like there's a promise that there's going to be pleasure.
There's a promise. You get some pleasure, and then they're like, okay, how can we turn this up a notch? And it gets... Anyway, I'm going to get into it.
He'll get more to that in the next verse, but yeah.
Therefore, seeing the contrary results, right? Noticing this,
Yeah.
I have stopped taking part in materialistic activities.
But true.
That's what's driving them. If that's what they're doing, that's what's driving them for pleasure, is pleasure of the body. It's like there's got to be more than this.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he says the Prabhupada kind of he took some of his transcendental license to kind of like frame it exactly as he did, but he brought it because really it just says men and women, right? It says like there are men and there are women and they're searching for happiness. Prabhupada kind of said, "No, let's
Let's
be
make it more
explicit.
graphic.
Let's get explicit here because this is what drives us. If we
That's an
observe,
add-on. It doesn't say that in the text.
you know, like let me see if I can pull up another translation of it here for you.
I mean, that's
Here's
you know,
another
this is-
translation.
This is a
Right.
Freudian thing. We're driven. This is the reason why we go to the gym.
Prabhupada's taking it to
This is the
Freudian
reason why
level.
we want to make money. This is the reason why we comb our hair. This is the reason why Kostuba shaves his head. This is the reason why I grow a beard. We want people to
That's not the
think
reason
we're
why I
cool.
shave my head.
Sort of slip that in there.
Okay. But this is another translation for seeing the suffering of men and women from performing actions meant for removing misery and creating
Okay.
happiness.
We can read between the lines.
I have become detached from all actions. Yeah, but we can Prabhupada read between the, and he brought it to that kind of to that.
come together for sex.
That's what we have
observe
a
that-
picture that in this contact between the female energy and the male, this is really important. We
Tell me.
see that there, you know, female energy meets male energy. We look at that and we think that's where the most enjoyment lies. That's where I'm going to find my happiness. There's a promise there that that's where I'm going to find my happiness in life.
Well, there is. That is where the most enjoyment lies.
Material enjoyment.
Material enjoyment.
But what we don't understand is that the way that the material energy works is that with all the happiness comes just as much distress. It's like you can't take one side of the coin without the other.
Well, for sure.
So
People
when I
think if I can just refine that,
I'll
See,
do it better. Yeah.
you know, I can get it better. Okay. We enjoyed. We had sex. Now, if I can refine it, how can I refine sex?
Take it
There's
to the
millions
next
of
level.
ways you can think of refining it. Maybe through tantric practices or semen retention practices or wigs or
Well, we're all going to just don't even. You could just. You don't have to give any examples.
I'm
Take it easy there, okay? Oh, we lost him there. We lost him.
gonna lose it.
Pull yourself together. Pull yourself together. You can think of your heart, Raghunath. Think of your heart. And
The idea is if we can refine it, make it kinkier, weirder, funner, more sattvic, whatever, it's still pleasure through the sensual body. And the problem with that is that's my go-to. That's my gold standard for happiness. And that's a problem. It's fool's gold. It doesn't give what the soul wants, but because we're actually spiritual beings. We're not sensual beings. We like to think, yeah, you get some pleasure through the senses. Such pleasures have
oh,
a
Raghunath, you're
beginning and an end.
You're
So
thinking
the
like the
wise do
Python
not
man.
delight in them.
I'm going to blow your mind next verse, but let's hold on to that for now.
They're going to quote that Bhagavad Gita verse.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Well, that's the thing. It is pleasurable. It has a beginning and an end.
Okay.
So those who are wise want something more subtle.
And so much complication comes in. Now, here's my point, Raghunath.
Yeah.
So that it's natural that we fall into the trap unless we're observant, or we're hearing from people that have been deeply observant. It's natural that we fall into the trap. They say, look, that's where all the material enjoyment lies at its highest point, right? Right there.
Yeah.
Keep it together, Raghunath. Keep it together. Keep it together. Keep it together.
One
Every time I
day
say keep
Mary's
it
gonna
together,
come
you
on the
start
show with a
losing it.
wig on. We're gonna be like, what the heck?
I just think he's losing it again. Now here's my point, Raghunath.
Okay,
I'm gonna
go.
try again. It's natural that we look at the connection, the male energy, the female energy, masculine,
Yes.
feminine. They come together. There's enjoyment. That's what we think. What we really should be thinking is, what other good comes from this connection between masculine energy and feminine energy? What is it really meant for? Because it actually is a very powerful combination. Why do we look at it and just think sense enjoyment? why don't we look at the two and think how the two work together for the upliftment of everyone? That's the way a wise person is thinking, right? How do these two energies meet in such a way where everyone benefits in a real way? I recently saw something. It was like this, that television show, The View.
The View. You're watching
The
The View
View.
lately?
I wasn't watching The View. I saw a clip from it.
I'm
And
watching The View.
one of the people on The View, and for those that don't know The View, it's a group of ladies
5 ladies
just
just
like yapping away.
yapping. A lot of hate spewing from The View, that's for sure.
Well, there was on this one. You're right, right.
There are a lot of hate in those
they-
5 ladies.
One of them said, like they talked about some experiment or some video where they went around. I think it was just like another video clip, right? It's a video clip talking about another video clip, and the one that they were speaking about, they went around the street and they asked women, like, do women need men?
Right.
And the women were just saying, no, they don't need men. Men
Yeah.
suck. We don't
And-
blah blah.
Until there's a spider in the shower.
Okay, all right. Then they went around and they started asking a bunch of men, and the men all said, "Of course, yes." And then they asked the panel there.
Wait, do men need men, or just say men need
The men
women?
were saying that the men need women. The women
Okay.
were saying we don't need men. Now, I'm not saying that that's the way it always goes. This was a edited film clip and so on. But then they
That's
turned
how
to
it
the
goes.
panel and they said, what do you think of it? Why is that? And like one of the women said, because men are trash. Because we don't need them. They're it's like, and I was just thinking, this is sad. It
Right.
should be obvious to everyone. That the combination of male and female energy, it sustains this world that we're living in.
Sure.
It has each of them have something to offer to each other and to their children and to this world. When they come
Sure.
together, it can be the most beautiful and powerful and supportive
Spiritual.
kind of
Spiritual.
spiritual energy. Yeah. Why don't we grow up a little bit? Stop acting like children. Dude, that's the kind of thing I expect from like a 6-year-old girl to say, not a grown woman on a television show that's supposed to be helping people see the world better.
Mm.
What's
Were they
going on?
endorsing that view or no?
No, that's what I'm saying. The woman on The View said, yeah, the first one said, why do you think people spoke this way in this video clip? And she said, because men are trash. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, come on.
The other hosts were saying men are trash.
Yeah, the women on the panel of the View.
Oh my God.
So why not look at
I
this?
just said this to you, Mary, yesterday. It's like, you enhance my Krishna consciousness.
You see?
Didn't I say that?
Yeah.
I couldn't do what I do without Mara.
Now, Mara, do you think Raghunath is trash?
No.
You see?
Aw,
That's
did you
now
see
we're
how
talking.
she said
right?
that? She said no.
Absolutely
She said like a
not.
4-syllable no. That was very nice. No.
So let's grow up. Let's not get that kind of junk is just like it's the media is kind of, whether it's social media or television media, it's just pushing us to think in these negative thought loops.
Divisive.
Cruel. It's like we think we're better when we put someone else down. Drop all that. Look at the male and female energy and see what is unique about each and how can they serve each other.
There you go.
All right. So this Python man, he didn't buy into the material promise that, oh, there's material happiness there. Find the happiness there. He witnessed that actually I'm seeing it's causing a lot of complication, a lot of suffering. He withdrew. Now text 27, this is a mind blower, Raghunath. Text 27 is a deep text.
The actual form of life for the living entities is one of spiritual happiness, which is real happininess.
Not the
This
material.
happiness can be achieved only when one stops all materialistic activities. Material sense enjoyment is simply an imagination, right? Prabhupada uses this phrase, a mental concoction. The first time I heard that, I was like, you're a genius. We create ideas of happiness and how we will enjoy. When I get this, when I go there, when I acquire this, when I get to this level of fame, this level of economic development, this home, this extension on my home, this vehicle, this particular partner, then I will be happy. It's all then. It's all sometime in the future I will enjoy life. But our pleasure is not actually very randomly or very
Yes, sir.
a pleasure.
You're going great there for a while.
I was going good, wasn't I? It's very scarcely here and now. It's always a hope to enjoy.
Okay.
And, Prabhupada also used this wonderful analogy. I don't know if he made it up or not, but it's like we're fish out of water. Fish, no matter what you do to them, no matter where, once you take them out of the water, you can offer them anything of this world.
Anything.
Right? You could take them to beautiful places. You could take them to, what do people do for
Fish food?
Parasailing. You could, they could go skydiving. They could go adventure sports. They could go to the theater. They could go to the countryside. They're not interested in anything. They're interested in going back to the water. Why? It seems so boring. I can offer you so much fun, exciting, exhilarating things on land. All you do is eat little minnows and bread and worms. Come on, look at all the beautiful food we have to offer you. No, the fish is most happy when he's in his natural habitat. Okay. And that's why we have this spiritual life. We're spiritual beings. No matter what the material world offers us, we're actually joyful, connected, content when we have a spiritual life running through our bloodstream. That's when we find joy. And sometimes it doesn't even make sense. We have these I joke about it because people come to India with me and, they're actually feeling contentment, a type of peace they've never had before. And when they tell their partners back home, yeah, well, what are you doing? Well, we're waking up early, sitting on the floor, singing songs. It's like, what? You're doing what? That's what you're doing on your vacation days, sitting on the floor, waking up early? Who's waking up early on their vacation days? But what
are you singing? A little Eagles or something like that?
What are you singing? What are you
No,
karaoke
it's
thing in the
mantras.
hotel? No, we're singing like Sanskrit bhajans. Yeah,
Okay.
It makes no material sense, but we're spiritual beings. We find our greatest enjoyment in spiritual activity. The whole Krishna consciousness culture is about creating a culture of spiritual activity so we can be joyful in this place where we don't belong. Okay. We're not of this world. We're visitors of this world. And
we
aliens? Become like alchemists. We're aliens of sorts.
And alchemists.
Illegal aliens. We come into, yeah. Yes.
Finish this verse, Raghunath. We'll talk about it. I want to break it down for you. You're going to like this.
The actual 27?
Yeah.
The actual form of this life for the living entities is one of spiritual happiness, which is real happiness.
Okay.
This happiness can be achieved only when one stops all materialistic activities. Material sense enjoyment is simply an imagination.
Okay.
Right?
Concoction.
Therefore, considering this subject matter, I have ceased from all material activities and am lying down here.
That's like the Monty Python film, right? And that's why I'm just lying here on the ground. I don't go anywhere. They got the microphone. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So let's look at the Sanskrit of this verse, Raghunath. It's really so much comes out of this one. So he starts by saying, Sukham asyatmano rupam, the Atma. The Atma's rupam, the form of the Atma, the natural form, our natural existence is sukham, is happiness. Right? That's like we're meant to be feeling happiness all the time. When we're not happy, it just means we're not in touch with the nature of the Atma, the nature of the self, the nature of the soul. He's saying, I know that that's a fact, right? That's there. And then he says sarva iha, all of these material activities. Uparati, I've stopped all material activities. Well, when did you stop the material activities? Like, what made you, I know that my natural spiritual existence is happiness, so I stopped all my materialistic activities. Well, when did you do that? And then there's this phrase here he uses, and this might blow your mind, Raghunath, right? He says mana, the mind, right? Then he says samsparshajan.
Oh,
that
sound familiar? Like that verse.
Yehi samsparsaja.
Boga.
Yeah. Samsparsha. Sparsha means like touch or contact, right? And samsparsha means like when the two items that are contacting come together, right? Together, touching together. And John means born, born from this touching together, right? The bhoga, the happiness, the enjoyment that's born from when the touching together takes place.
Mm.
He says, dristva, after observing this, after observing the happiness that's born when the senses contact the sense objects, right? It's not just that, of course, there's the tactile sense of touching something, but when the eyes touch the object of vision, when the ears touch the object of sound, I observed that when the happiness that's born of this connection between the objects of the senses and the senses themselves, I've observed that that happiness is manaha. It actually all just exists in the mind. You know, that material sense enjoyment is simply imagination. That's how Prabhupada phrased it there. Now, a lot of people say, what are you talking about? I actually enjoy. It's not just in my mind. When I touch the right thing, when I taste the right thing, when I see the right thing, I feel real happiness. But this man lying on the ground, he was sitting there and he was thinking about it. Just as Yugal Kishore was like thinking about Ronald Reagan, you know, and his life and his happiness and so on. I'd like to give this example of like smoking cigarettes, right?
Okay.
Now, if you give me a cigarette and you say, Kastuba, smoke this thing, you'll find it enjoyable. I'm going to be like, absolutely not. Like that's the last thing that I want to do is pull this smoke into my body and into my lungs. There's zero enjoyment. As a matter of fact, I actually find it to be a condition of suffering. It's like, I want to get away from that cigarette, right? What did they say? Get it away, Raghunath, right?
Get it away.
Get it away. And so, but
No one
there are other,
knows what I'm talking about. Even
some
Marin's
people
like, I have
out
no
there,
idea what you're
some
talking
people
about.
know. Some people
If you know, you know.
If
Get
you
it
know,
away.
Get it. Okay.
Timothy
So-
Tucker's like, I know this. Okay.
Somebody know. There's Timothy Tucker got SSD control. That's right.
Thank you.
So there are other people in this world that actually feel, no, I want to smoke that cigarette. Now, what's the difference between me and them? It has nothing to.
mental
It has nothing to do with our
concoction.
lungs. It has nothing to do. It has everything to do with the mind. That one mind has been programmed to think that's pleasurable. I want that.
Sure.
And in my mind, there's a different programming that's saying that's actually suffering. I don't want that. So the enjoyment that's derived from it is actually just a question of the programming that's within the mind. It has really
It's a mental.
concoction. Yeah, it's a mental game. You know, it's something that's happening there in the mind.
Just like if I say we're gonna ride a jet ski, some people that's super like they're happy even though nothing's happening, but some people like fear the water, fear sharks, fear water accidents, and for them they're like, no, I don't want to ride a jet ski. It's like the last thing I want to do. It's all a mental concoction, how the brain has been programmed.
Right. And you, Raghunath, in the past you shared this story where you were on tour, your band was opening for another like band that had a big hit out and they were kind of like high on the charts at the time. And the singer of that band was like this really handsome guy and he
Hunky
was
guy.
hunk, you want to call him?
I'll call him a hunk.
Okay. And he knew that you and your band were into like spirituality and so on.
Yeah.
And he kind of came up to you for some advice just to open up his heart, right? And what did
Yeah.
he say?
He said, he's like, I know you guys have this whole stuff about controlling your senses and, when you were monks, you were celibate but it's like girls throw themselves at me and I don't want to, I don't even get any pleasure out of it anymore, but I just can't stop. Like I'm an addict. That's what he
So
said.
in other words, the senses were driving him to
Right.
continue. But internally, he was like, I'm not happy.
Eternally, he doesn't even want to do it. After it's done, he's like, what have I just done? Like, what have I done? It's like overeating, eating a pint of ice cream. It's like, what did I just do? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
It's like that. Fortunately, I don't have those problems. Women don't throw themselves at me. But some people have those problems. And then they're thinking that No, there's no great payoff from indulgence. There's only lamentation. What have I done?
So this Python man, he's saying, I observed it. Dristva, right? I was observing.
Right.
And therefore, when I observed that actually the promise is never delivered, right? There's a promise that great happiness lies here. And I looked at it carefully. I observed it and I said, there's really no, I withdrew. Now he withdrew in a particular way where he just stopped acting. The way that the Bhagavad Gita is going to teach is you withdraw internally, but you act externally. And that's called karma yoga. You get this perfect formula for the world that we live in, you know, where you have internal detachment based on knowledge, based on clarity, based on observation. And externally, you keep your body, your senses, your mind engaged, moving forward. And you have a really nice path to move forward on. And we'll dip into that a little bit tomorrow, I think.
That's it. That's it. Look at that. Shows go quick sometimes.
You got something for us, Mara?
I do.
Hi, Mara.
Hi.
How are you? How was the show?
Great.
Was it? I was saying that.
No, it was great.
Was it? Okay.
All right, I got some good
It
stuff.
was great.
4 syllables.
Great.
Expectations cause stress.
They do. That was from you.
It's interesting. That was an interesting
Yeah.
takeaway.
Observe the nature of material enjoyment to see it's a false promise.
It's false. It's a false promise. It's a mental concoction.
The ROI of material world doesn't look good.
Nah.
Master of finances.
Thank you. Last master of financial words and phrases, at least.
Don't let materialistic pleasures be your gold standard.
No.
Don't put your happiness in the hope to enjoy.
In the hope to enjoy.
Right.
Material sense enjoyment is in the imagination.
Yeah.
Concoction.
See, that's why in Bhakti, we're more about set up a lifestyle. Let the lifestyle be enjoyable. That's the difference.
Lifestyle. So, in other words, I should have a lifestyle like the guys out in the Hamptons where I'm wearing white and I'm
The
lounging
lifestyle,
on the beach.
no, that's a lifestyle. We
Okay.
start talking about a particular lifestyle that's enjoyable.
What's the difference? What is the ingredient in that lifestyle?
The ingredients is, well, there's elements of meditation, of regulation, of rising early, of eating simply.
It's to uncover the happiness within rather than searching for it without, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We're spiritual beings and our happiness lies in connection to the divine.
Yes, yes.
Hamptons are nice, by the way. Side note.
There's no payoff from indulgence.
Raghunath started drifting from the message. Like before the show was over, he was convinced that happiness lies in the Hamptons.
It
I'm sorry,
can.
Mara.
It
What was that
can.
last
It could be anywhere.
There's no payoff from indulgence, only lamentation.
Right.
Well, you indulge, and you get a big high, and you got to go down when it's over.
And
This better be
And-
good.
thank
'Cause I wasn't happy with all those takeaways, really.
Raghunath.
you.
They were all for me. Well, I wasn't happy with them.
Couldn't please you.
Maybe the problem's in you and not with the takeaway.
I never said the problem was with her.
I know.
I
I'm
just
just
said I
saying
wasn't
maybe.
happy
I
with
just
all
said
those-
maybe.
Sounds like
I
you're
didn't-
expecting the takeaways to
Yeah,
make you
it's-
happy.
I mean,
What if
it's
the takeaways were in the Hamptons? Would that be happy?
yeah.
Just
Maybe you have expectations that are
Why do you
unrealistic. Maybe you
two
got to
always team
change.
up on me?
Maybe you got to trade in your expectations for some appreciations there, buddy.
Maybe you should
Should what? What should we do?
start working
What
with
should we
me
do,
and step
Raghunath?
against me.
What should we do?
And
And
thank you, Ronald Reagan.
thank you,
Thank you,
Ronald
Ronald Reagan. I said it before. I said it again. Thank you, Ronald Reagan. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, Ronald Reagan. Wasn't always happy with you, Ronald, but
Then I was a punk rocker, but now that I'm adult, I appreciate all that you do. Everybody,
you do.
thanks for joining us here. Remember, Wisdom of Sage is going to India, and we're going to LA next week. That's hard to believe. That's coming up.
oh,
But
hey,
most of all, remember this Sunday, we're having a picnic in Central Park, 4 to 7
that's right.
p.m. with the Bhakti Center. It's somewhere in Central Park.
Go to
Cherry Hill.
BhaktiCenter.org.
Go to BucketCenter.org. You can find it. We're going to hang out there. Maybe Professor Snooky's going to be there. What do you think?
Yeah, we got to get the Snooki.
Bring little Snookalini. Bring Jeff Eisenberg. Ashoka Krishna. Get there. The
bring some
Furmans
lawn
from
darts.
Brooklyn. Come on down.
Maybe we got to
Jimmy
get
Carroll,
some.
that's not far from you.
Rogan,
Stromboli, get down. Get off the island. Come on down.
what about some croquet out there, Rogan? Can we do that?
We're going to have a pickleball. Everybody's playing pickleball now, Stupid. Get with it.
No,
Lilia
you need a court
DeLeon,
for
welcome
that.
to the show. We'll see you at the park. Right on the message board where you're from. Right on the message board, Lillian.
How about a little badminton, Rogan? A little badminton?
A little badminton. Badminton's old. That's old school. That's last century. Now we're in pickleball. Welcome
But
to
you
the
need
club.
a flat paved court for pickleball. You can't play pickleball
Bocce
on the
ball.
grass.
I have a bocce ball set. We could bring that.
They have a bocce thing in Central Park, not far from there, like a real thing. You know?
Yeah, it's a thing with old Italian men. I guess we're old Italian men, aren't we?
Yeah, you got to get a cigar and then roll that thing.
Andrew K, good to see you. Croquette, that's another one, jiu-jitsu now.
That's what I said, croquet, Rogan. He blew me off.
That's where it started, croquette.
Yeah.
Hannah Brinkhouse, good to see you there live in Connecticut. We gonna see you in New York for the picnic?
Horseshoes.
Horseshoes is a good one. Dinesh Rabakaran, good to see you.
Frisbee. They got a new kind of frisbee now, Rogan. It's like
They
a
can't
ring.
improve on frisbee.
No, Rogan.
A ring. They've had that ring forever. Martin from Vermont is
Not
here.
like it is now. That thing flies like so far. It's
I
crazy.
know. What good is that? It's like, come on, I can't. I like to communicate with the people I'm doing frisbee with. Like, hey, good catch.
Rogonath, the
Hey,
communication.
I don't want you to be like 300 yards away.
The communication is in the throw, Rogonath. It's like throwing love from one person to another. And you're feeling it the
ends
whole
up
way.
rolling on its side forever, and one guy's chasing it. Let's
try
just
to
stand close
see
to
the
each other,
good.
talk about life, throw a frisbee.
Just try to see the good. Sometimes
I'll bring
on a
a
higher
frisbee.
level, there's no need for words, Rogonath. There's no need for that.